Yeah. So I will introduce today's speaker to you. She's a personal friend, but beyond that, she's a lot more than just being a personal friend. She wears many feathers in her cap. You know, the biggest number that stands out is the 20,000 hours of counseling she's done over the last 14 years. And in between all that, she went on to get a lot of, she does a lot of courses. I think, whatever she feels will help her, she goes and learns that. She's done courses in counseling. She's a trained practitioner of NLP. She's a trainer also of NLP, that is neuro-lingual programming. And she's learned hypnotism. She's learned Gestalt therapy. I don't know how that's pronounced. I'm assuming it's Gestalt.
Gestalt.
Yeah. And she's learned transactional analysis. She's learned cognitive behavior analysis therapy, and as many as she can get. Hands-on, I would say. And she is a Vipassana meditation. She does Vipassana meditation, and she also does a lot of, I think she does use that principles in what she does when she does her therapy and her program. The cornerstones of her work are individual centric. You know, it'll be completely tailored to the individual rather than, one size fits all. Based on non-violent communication, mindfulness, and I would say she wears many, many feathers in her cap, but the cap sits on a very unassuming head. What you see is what you get. You're not going to find too many hidden stuff going on. It is what you see, what you get. And that is Subha Parthasarthy. Yeah. And we will share the number and the contact details, whoever asks for it. Okay. Yeah. Subha, I think I have taken enough of your time. I'm sure you have a completely packed day.
There is time for everything, Kanti. One thing at a time. So that is what the whole session is also going to be about. So good evening. Thank you for having me here, Kanti, for remembering me and touching base. I know I frustrated you at the time when you wanted to talk, and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to get back. I'm going to get back. And it was so hectic. And then finally you sent me the written matter and I said, yes, this is what I want to do. So thank you so much for having me here. Thank you all for being here. It's really a pleasure and I'm grateful for that. So without wasting too much of time, let's start with, Kanti said, do something on stress management. So I want to know from you, what do you think stress is?
Overthinking.
Okay, overthinking. Then what else?
Trying to do too many things at the same time.
Okay, multitasking.
Yeah.
Okay.
Worrying.
Worrying about the future or the past, or worrying both?
Yeah.
Keeping
Worrying,
your
tension. Yeah, go ahead.
Keeping your mind occupied all the time with a lot of things.
Okay.
Yeah, giving too much
So
work to your mind and worrying about, in the sense, what we can do and what we cannot do. Thinking about both the things, whether it is possible or not possible, we keep thinking to do, but we can't sometimes accomplish, and then that keeps adding to our stress level.
Okay. And how do we know that we are stressed?
Not able to handle the situations.
Okay. In
Getting
the sense of
irritated easily.
Okay, being reactive.
Yeah.
One more
And
reason I
showing
think
it.
is overestimating one's own capability.
Okay. So that also causes stress because we don't get the outcome that we want.
Yeah.
That causes stress. Yeah.
getting
Okay.
agitated, somewhere getting agitated by the things that is happening around you.
Okay. All right. So we are more reactive when we are stressed.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm getting from your sharing. So if I were to tell you that our body is under stress from the time we are born, then what would you say for that? From the time the baby is born, there is stress. See, stress is there the moment we engage with the world, isn't it?
True.
The baby comes out of the birth canal, they are pulling the baby out, there is stress. The baby cries and is being held tightly or loosely, there is stress for the baby. So there is constant, whenever we are engaging with the world, there is something going on with us. So what is the stress when you talk about worrying, tension, things not happening our way or whatever it is? So where is that stress element coming from? We are experiencing the world, but what is that exactly that stress when we talk about it?
I think it's more to do with our expectations.
So we are expecting a certain outcome, we don't get it, there is stress. Or the way we interpret an experience, there is stress.
Yes.
Is that making sense? Gokula is very thoughtful. What are you thinking, Gokula? So whoever, video is on, be ready. I'm going to catch you. So I am going to want to know what you're thinking, because the whole session is not about giving you some management techniques, which you already know. Yes, I'm going to tell you, oh, meditate, sit with yourself, blah, 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 blah. But that is something you already know. But the thing is to understand the basic of it. What is it that is the stress we are talking about? We are experiencing the world every day. Body's reaction is a reflection of stress. Yes. So when we are reacting to something or responding to something, the way we are doing it, we know whether we are under stress or not. Right? So, but does everybody react the same way in a certain situation?
May not.
Why is that?
I think different people react or respond to things differently. And I think a large number of times we end up focusing on our weaknesses that causes a lot more stress. And different people have different areas of strengths and weaknesses. So what might impact you might not impact me, and vice versa.
So what is that element out there? I'm not able to see who spoke just now. So if you're able to tell me that.
This is Purna.
Purna, thank you. So what is that element that is different? So I have the same experience. Say, for example, you and I go out and it starts raining. It starts pouring, okay? And I say, oh God, I'm so unlucky. The day I want to go out and enjoy myself, it starts raining. And Purna says, oh wow, look at the rain. See, everything is going to be green now. So what is that element of stress we are talking about?
Seeing positive in every situation.
Is it something related
Okay, but
to
when we say
acceptance?
Okay. Acceptance, but what am I doing? The situation is the same. What am I doing and what is Purna doing?
The level of acceptance is different.
Rupa. Okay, I'm looking for that particular word.
So
what is it that both of us are doing?
Expectations.
Yeah, Purna.
I think that
Sorry?
okay, let me just also put my video on. I think that our experiences over the day also get reflected in our reaction. Maybe I've had a great day, and therefore when I see the rain and I start thinking positively, you've had a rough day, and so you possibly start thinking in that manner. So I think stress is caused by a culmination of things, and it can change, it can vary from day to day. It doesn't have to be I'm permanently a positive person or I'm permanently a not so positive person. I think our experiences shape our reactions on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah. And the way I am interpreting the whole situation. So it is my interpretation of that situation based on my experiences, earlier experiences, or the messages that I have received, right? And that adds to that stress. That adds to whatever the situation is.
True.
You know, in Buddhism, they say the pain is there, but we cause ourselves suffering. So the suffering is in our hands.
Well said.
The pain is going to be there because we are interacting with the world. So there is this Buddhist monk. I'm not sure if you have heard of her, Pema Chodron. I guess you must have heard of her. So she tells it very beautifully in a way that it makes it so clear for me. She says, when someone shoots an arrow into your heart, you get hurt. Correct? Maybe blood comes, maybe it's paining. So what are you going to do out there? You're going to run after the person who has caused that pain, or you are going to tend to the wound that is there. So the pain is there, but what we cause is suffering to ourselves. How do we cause that suffering to ourselves? By saying, how can someone do this to me? I am always unlucky. How can he do that to me? I need to punish him. So you go behind him, and then another arrow comes in the same place. So when we talk about stress per se, we say there is a lot going on when our body engages with the world, but we add to it with our stories. We add to it with, what we think about us, what we think about others, how it should happen, how it should not happen. And constantly we are revolving around those stories. And those stories cause more suffering. And then we go through something called chronic stress because we develop that kind of a mindset. So if I say I'm unlucky, it is raining, I have developed that mindset over years because I see every experience in a certain way. And that is causing stress in the body. Is that making sense? Or does it sound like nonsense? What are you guys thinking?
It makes total sense. Yes,
Yeah,
thank you.
with you. Means one is situational. Some people, depending on the situation, they will react in certain way. But there are some people, regardless of any situation, the way they react itself is always, different.
Yeah, so we are all training ourselves to work in a certain way. We are training our mind. So the good news is that we can train our mind in any way we want. It doesn't matter what age we are in, whether we are a chota papa or we are big or we are a young adult, we can train our mind to work in a different way. That is the neuroplasticity of the brain. Earlier, there was a saying that if, whatever you learn at a young age, you cannot unlearn it. Now, neuroscience says there is nothing that you need to unlearn. You only learn new things. So you don't unlearn what you have learned. It is going to be there. But you learn new things that are going to be more constructive, and the brain gets used to that. So the structure of the brain changes when you are learning new things. And the main thing that we use when we are working with the world is a prefrontal cortex. When we are working from our amygdala, that is the lower part of the brain. So I'm not sure if you guys can see my hand. So this is the structure of a brain. This is the brain stem, and this is the brain. And this is the prefrontal cortex, which starts growing after the age of 11. It is there, but it starts growing at a faster pace after the age of 11 or 12. So when we are looking at children also, if they are younger than 10, we expect them to act as adults. We expect them to understand things, whereas the brain is not developed as yet. Our expectations are pretty high of them. Okay, so this part of the brain is the last developed part in human beings. This is the part which regulates emotions. It is responsible for time management, decision making, problem solving, empathy, verbalizing what is going on in us. And the lower part of the brain is what is the primitive brain. We call it where the amygdala is, the fight and the flight and the freeze. So when early man used to live in caves, they were always on alert that there is going to be, either an animal going to kill us, or it's more survival, always survival. Right now, what is happening in Ukraine? People are on a survival mode, right? So the brain is going to structure itself in a certain way because you don't know where the bomb is coming from, where the threat is coming from. So the early man's amygdala would have been pretty big. But as we started evolving, now we are in a situation, I'm sitting in this hotel room, I'm feeling safe and everything. So the amygdala is smaller, the prefrontal cortex is bigger, right? But what is happening is the stress that we are talking about is coming from the space that we still think we are in the survival mode. Have you encountered people where you just touch them and they will slap you? Have you ever encountered where you are constantly thinking somebody's attacking me? Sometimes children are in that mode. The moment you call out their name, whatever their names, you'll say, Amit, no, I didn't do it. You will hear that, response from the child, right? So it's like a survival mode. Somebody is attacking me. I have to defend myself, or that is what is causing stress in our body, and that releases a certain kind of hormone called cortisol. I'm not going to go into technical details because I'm not a biology student, but many of you might be, so you know what that cortisol does to our body. It is necessary when there are, immediate threats or something. If the hotel room is on fire, I have to run out of the room. There, I'm not going to stand and think, my prefrontal cortex, is it dangerous? Do I need to run or do I need to walk? No, that time your brain is not going to be thinking that. You're going to say, get out of here, take all your papers and get out, right? But every time it is not a threat situation. But if I am in that threat situation all the time, then cortisol is being released in my body all the time. Where is it going to go? What is it going to do? It is going to hurt my organs. Autoimmune diseases. So you start having those aches and pains, you start being forgetful, you start getting annoyed, irritated. Sometimes we say, no, I'm really stressed. I'm getting annoyed with everything, everyone I see. That means there is so much of cortisol in your body. I'm kidding, not true, but it's just that we have, we're getting used to that kind of living, and that is causing a lot of suffering for us. So there's this story I heard which I, it made me smile, and so I just want to share that story, and after that maybe Kanti could share the video on stress, and then we will move forward on that, or do another activity and then move. So there was this monk who was meditating, and a young man came running to him. He said, sir, I need some help. So the monk said, what is it that you need? So So he said, I'm really upset. This person hurt me, and I'm so angry, and I'm suffering badly, and I want to get out of this suffering. Please help me get out of this suffering. So the monk looked at him and he got up. He got up from where he was meditating. He got up, and there was a pole, near where he was sitting, and he held on to that pole. The monk held on to that pole and started screaming. He said, please help me, please help me. This is holding on to me. It is not leaving me. It is making me suffer. So the young fellow looked at him and he said, what are you doing, sir? You just need to leave the pole. So the monk left the pole and said, now you go and leave the pole. Leave your suffering. So there are many a times where we are causing that suffering for us. The pain is there. It is raining. But the suffering part is, I am unlucky. It always happens to me. So when I am saying that again and again, it is releasing certain hormones in my body that is affecting every cell in my body. Then I get a headache. Then I feel low. Then I get annoyed. Then I'm irritated. Then I get angry and I shout at someone. Then I feel bad about getting angry and shouting at someone. And then I feel guilty about it. It's like a never ending cycle. And we have never learned to be kind to ourselves. How can I be like this? I was not like this earlier. So take, we
Subha, there's a lag.
not, yeah, hold.
Yeah.
Are you able to hear me now?
Yeah. Now, yes.
Yeah, I'm sorry. See, this is not in my control. So I can get stressed up about it, that, you're not able to hear me and I'm talking, but I can also relax and say you're getting what you need to hear. So, so that's how it is. Is it making any sense?
Yes.
What about others? I just want to hear from others. What are they thinking when they are hearing me say all this? Yeah, Rupa.
Yeah, it makes sense that we just, what you said makes sense.
So when someone had mentioned stress is caused by multitasking, that's an important. So when we talk about multitasking, there was a time in the olden times where you notice people doing one thing at a time. Thank you, Hema. So one thing at a time, right? We used to have this. I don't know, idli mav. We would. I remember as a young girl, my mom used to soak the idli, the dal and the rice, and I used to love doing that urad dal in that big stone. We would do it for hours, and 30 minutes, 40 minutes, whatever, and we are not thinking about anything else. We are just doing that. That is important. But after a few years, this multitasking became the in thing. So we celebrate multitasking. We call women super women because they can multitask, right? And the more we are celebrated for it, the more we do it. अरे ये तो सुपर वुमन है, ये कुछ भी कर सकती है. Okay, fine, I'll do more. I'll do this also. I'll do that also. I'll get up at 4 o'clock. I'll cook. I'll finish breakfast, lunch, dinner. I will go out with my friends, come back, and I will take care of, my husband's medicine and everything. And then again, I will go teach and I will come back. Oh, I am superwoman. And while I'm talking, I will, fold the clothes. While cooking, I will do my sessions. So many things. So multitasking became the in thing. And now we are going round, coming back to that place where people are telling us multitasking is hurting your brain. There is a recent article I read, maybe I could share it with Kanti and she can share with all of you later on, that says multitasking is damaging your brain because the brain is not designed to multitask. You know, maximum you can, while cooking, you can listen to music. That much is, acceptable. But not that you're doing accounts on the side, cooking on the side, teaching the child on one side, and playing violin on one side. That is not going to help your brain.
How do you
Now we
say
are,
that?
sorry?
How do you say that brain is not designed for multitasking?
Yeah, so there is research done on the brain to show that the brain can focus on one task at a time. And when it does that, efficiency of the brain is more, right? But what has happened is, yes, you can do two tasks at a time when they are not related to each other. Say, for example, when you're doing math, you can listen to music. It actually helps the brain. But when we talk about multitasking, it is also about, if I'm right now taking the session, my mind is, what is my mom doing? Why did she call me up? When I have to go to the temple? So many thoughts are running parallelly if I'm doing the session. That is also multitasking. The brain is not designed to be doing that. Then my efficiency and productivity over time will go down. That's why this concept of mindfulness is catching up right now. Even in the psychology field, which is more on research and scientifically based, especially CBT and all that, now is incorporating mindfulness because they have realized that you cannot heal people just by medicines. There needs to be some other antidote for it. So they are looking at mindfulness in a very serious way. Multitasking can be done in certain situations where it is needed. For example, there is an emergency situation. Then you are going to be multitasking. You are going to be, coordinating. You're going to be taking care. So it will last for a short period of time, and it is very, very effective. But if it is over a long period of time, then the brain loses the ability to focus. Sometimes we say, no, I'm not able to focus. I take the book and I'm not able to read a single line, or I'm forgetting things, or did I put salt in the sambar? Or many times we lock the door and we go down and then we are wondering, did I lock the door? Did I really lock the door? Or where did I keep the key? No, where did I keep? So we are doing that. And that means our mind is full. There is no mindful, there is mindful. And constantly being in that mode is going to hurt the structure of the brain. It is going to hurt the structure of the brain because we are not paying attention to what we are doing. Paying attention, being focused, setting an intention, it is not there. And the mind is going here and there. That background is going on all the time. We say no chatter in the brain. There is a book called Chatter. Have you heard of the book? So I'm listening to that book right now. It's pretty interesting. So he says there's constant chatter. In a minute, there is so much of chatter going on. Like I'm chattering right now. It's the same way. The mind is chattering. So when I went for the Vipassana practice, has anyone been to Vipassana practice? It's a 10-day meditation program where you sit from morning 7 o'clock till night 9 o'clock in meditation. You're just sitting in meditation in silence. Of course, you eat and you sleep and all that, but Most of the day is spent on meditation and you cannot talk to anybody. So 10 days in silence. You are with people, but you cannot talk to them. You cannot look at them. You cannot. So there are certain rules. So the first time I attended that whole program, it took me 3 days to realize I'm in silence. Can you tell me why?
Because the mind was working.
Mind was not working. Mind was talking. And it was so loud. I didn't think I was alone. I didn't think I was in silence. To become aware of that itself took me 3 days. So that is how our mind chatters constantly. But we can work with it. We can learn new ways of dealing with it. Because if we do not train our mind to work in a certain way, it can become very, very challenging for us. Because we either go to the past or we go to the future, but we are not in the present. We can be in the present and plan for the future. We can be in the present and learn from the past. But we don't need to go into the past or we don't need to go into the future. Would that resonate with anyone? Let's do a quick practice. And then Kanti, would you show that video, or Rupa, would you show that video on the stress thing and then the mindfulness thing? Okay. So what I'm going to do is, let's listen or observe the chatter in our mind, but we will stay focused on our breath. So if all of you are willing, anyone, whoever is willing, you can do this practice and then we will reflect on it. So I'm going to ring the bell. We're going to do this for 1 or 2 minutes. I'm going to give some instruction. Just follow those instructions and then let's see what comes up. And then you hear the bell at the end, you can come back and open your eyes. Okay, so this is more on willingness basis. Whoever is willing to do it, you can do it. So you just need to tell me whether you can hear the bell or not. Can you hear the bell?
I think.
Okay. So I want you to sit back, keep your back straight, sit in any comfortable position. Sit in a comfortable position, keep your back straight. It helps you to be aware of your body. You can keep your leg on the floor. Keep your heart open for any experience that comes up. You can choose to close your eyes or you can choose to gaze down. Just being aware of where your hands are. You can keep it on the thigh or you can fold it. Just making yourself ready for this experience. Just being seated. Become aware of your body on the chair or the place you're sitting. Become aware of your feet on the ground, your arms. And now slowly bring your awareness to your breath. Just the awareness that you're breathing in and out. Just the awareness that the air is going in and out. Now setting an intention to focus on your breath. Without judging, without evaluating your breath. Just being aware that you're breathing. It is possible that your mind creates some images, some thoughts. If you find yourself latching on to those thoughts or getting onto any of the buses of the thought, just gently bring it back to your breath. Breathing in and breathing out. And observe your body. Maybe some sensation. Maybe there's some itching somewhere, or there's some pain that you notice. Just observe and gently bring your attention back to your breath. Just be gentle with yourself. And pay attention to your breath. As you hear the sound of the bell, gently bring your awareness back to the seat you're sitting, to your surroundings, and then open your eyes.
It was so
Yeah.
good. I just wanted a few more minutes of that. It felt like, I could be like that for another half hour. I have attended meditation classes and courses and residential courses, and I enjoy this, especially the last part of just closing the eyes and just focusing and relaxing the body. It's really good. Thank you.
Thank you, Rupa. Thank you. I just want to add that caution when you said that I wanted to continue forever. That is what causes suffering. I
For
can't
some
hear
more
you.
time, because for some more time I just wanted to sit like that. Okay.
Yeah. So the Buddha, when he attained enlightenment, he talked about what is the suffering. The pain. He says it's a pain body. So we are going to feel pain. So there's no escape from pain.
End from that. Yeah.
But he says, what are the things that cause suffering? So what are the things that cause suffering? So one of the things is when we get something that we really like and we want to hold on to it forever.
Hold on. Don't want to. Yeah.
We want it to
Let go
last.
that.
Yes, we don't. It's like when we have children. When we have children and they're listening to us all the time and they're being the good children, no? And we want them to be like that forever.
Forever. Yeah.
Yeah. But it doesn't happen. So we are disappointed. So there is suffering. The other thing is we want something very badly and we are not getting it. We think that if I have that big car, then I'm going to be happy. Or if I have that big house, I'm going to be happy. And I'm not getting it. So that causes suffering. That causes, pain. And the third thing is when we get something, we don't acknowledge it. And that causes suffering. So what we have, we don't want. What we don't have, we want. And what we want, we want to hold on. So these are the, he says these are the three situations where we do get pain, but we are causing also suffering to ourselves. Right? So what about others? How was this practice for you? What came out for you? Were you able to see your chatter, or was it challenging? Was it easy?
I was aware of the chatter in my head, though I meditate regularly.
Yeah, that is going to be there. Yes. What about others? Can't see anyone. Gokula, Savita, Meera,
Hello, Shubha.
Meghna. Yeah.
So what I saw was like, yeah, as Kanti said, though we meditate every day, but I could witness myself separate from my chatting. I find that very powerful, and there I could see how sticky, how holding on, or how much I was, there are many things to let go.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm glad that people could watch the chatter than getting caught up with it. And it's okay to get caught up with it too. That's the main thing. That when we talk about mindfulness, we are talking about not judging ourselves or not evaluating ourselves. Oh my God, like what Kanti said, oh, I'm a meditator and I'm still have my mind chatter. The mind is going to chatter. That's the job of the mind.
Thoughts are coming.
Thoughts are going to come. So there is no space where thoughts are not going to come. If you have heard Eckhart Tolle, he says it in very nice way. He laughs along with it. It's very cute when he laughs. So he says, we are trying to find that space where there will be absolutely no thoughts. And that's an impossible task. There are going to be thoughts. It is just that what do you choose to focus on? That's why mindfulness is little different from the other meditations. Mindfulness talks about paying attention kindly without judging yourself to whatever comes up. So before paying attention, there is one more that is called setting an intention. So if I set an intention to watch my breath, I am paying attention to whatever is coming up and then gently bringing it back to the breath. Right. So I'm not saying my mind should not chatter. I'm not saying thoughts should not come. I'm not saying things should be different. I'm accepting things the way they are and bringing my attention back to what I choose to focus on. So when we talk about, go ahead.
So you mean to say that accepting what is there is there?
Yeah, it is there.
Without negating what is there.
Absolutely. You hit the nail on the head.
Okay.
The more you suppress, the more it persists. The more you accept, it transforms. When we are in pain, right? Instead of accepting that we are in pain, we suppress it by distracting ourselves.
Very right.
Or we suppress it by saying, I should not feel bad because I'm a strong person. This happens with many of us where we have grown up, people telling us, oh, you're so strong. You manage, situations so tricky, and oh my God, you are so strong. And there are times when we don't want to be strong. We want to be that weak person who needs to be taken care by somebody.
Wonderful.
And we can't say that.
Right.
And we can't say that, no, because we are strong. And you know what happens when you keep suppressing that?
Like a spring, it
We
pulls
get
out.
into suffering. We think nobody can understand us. Yes.
Hmm.
So whatever
So
we
then,
suppress,
yeah.
yeah. Yeah,
So
go
then
ahead.
how do we, so then how do we, without suppressing that factor, like there were about 10 things which came up now, just for an example, which I know it is there. And I am, okay, as you say, no resistance. So then it doesn't persist. So then you say without resistance, feel it completely, get into it, then it just dissolves. That's what you mentioned, right?
Absolutely. Very beautifully put. Tell me.
But again, the same thing keeps coming up, right? So what do we do then?
Yeah, the only thing is it doesn't have a hold over you after some time.
Okay.
See, it's like the sensation comes up, you are staying with
Mm-hmm.
it, the sensation goes down. Nothing is permanent. That is what, the whole concept of mindfulness, or whatever, we learn in our, culture, or whether nothing is permanent. Everything is constantly changing. Right?
Right.
So the sensation that is coming up in our body is not a permanent thing. It is going to go down. But what happens is when the sensation comes up, we add to it with our thoughts. Now, for example, my heart is beating fast. I am feeling that sensation. But if I stay with my body, then that sensation will go down. But I don't stay with my body. What do? I connect it with my thoughts. My heart is beating fast. Okay. So, I'm nervous because no one is answering. Only 2 people are talking to me. Maybe it is boring for them. Maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe I need to have worked on it more. Do you see that? That the thoughts add to that. And now the sensation is not going to go down. It's going to grow more. It's going to add. We are adding to it with that. So there is a lady called a scientist called Jill Bolt Taylor. Have you heard of her?
No.
So she's a brain scientist. Okay, you pick up all this and then okay, Hema, 1 second. I'm not able to see the chat. Hold on.
No issues. I think you just finish the thought and then get back to it because it's a question that.
Okay. So Jill Bolt Taylor is a brain scientist, and she was doing research on the brain because her brother had come down with schizophrenia, and she just wanted to understand brain, and she became a brain scientist. So one day while doing her, when she got up in the morning, she realized something was off with her. And then she started her exercises, and suddenly she realized that she is not able to do anything. So she realized she is having a stroke. So she had a stroke. She went to the hospital, and when they did the surgery and everything, she survived it. But her part of the brain stopped working, so she was not able to I'm sorry, someone's audio is on. Can you mute yourself?
No, I've muted everybody.
ठीक है, Kanti. Thank you. So she realized that she cannot even read. She could not read words. She could not talk. She forgotten the whole language. She had forgotten her past completely. She was a completely new person. And it took her 8 years, but she healed her own brain. So she is it's a very, very interesting, scientific thing that you can heal your brain. So whatever trauma we go through, we are capable of healing our brain. Yes, it will require that effort or, the methods, but we are capable of doing that. And it's 8 years, more than 8 years now. She's written a book on it. And she talks about these sensations. Why I brought it was what someone shared about the sensations. the sensations that come up, she says it lasts only for so many seconds, I think 90 seconds. If we are able to stay with that sensation, it will go down. Then we can consciously make a choice of how we want to respond to that situation. But if that sensation stays for more than 90 seconds, that means we have added our story to that sensation. Then it is not just a sensation, it is the stress we are causing ourselves, the story that we are telling ourselves about what is going on in our life. Is that making sense? So most of the times we are in our head. We are disconnected with our body. When we are children, we are very connected with our body. The baby cries when he's feeling uncomfortable, correct? The baby laughs when the baby is feeling happy. You lift a baby, sometimes when you lift a baby, the baby will smile. But there are some people who lift the baby will start yelling and crying. Immediately that person will say, whether you yell or cry, I am going to hold you because I am your uncle or your aunt. So the baby gets to know, okay, what I'm feeling in my body, I don't trust. I should not trust it because no one else is listening to it. And slowly we lose touch with our own body. And we are in our heads. And now it's like a U-turn. Now, U-turn or whatever turn or a circle. We are coming back to the place where people are telling us, hey, get in touch with your body. Get in touch with your sensation. Sit with it. Stay with it. And you will see it going down. Yeah, Hema, you want to share because I'm not able to see the chat. Could you share the question?
Yeah, I have written that, you know, I have a pain. I had many surgeries on my leg, and one of
Okay.
my leg has not completely healed, in the sense, like, you know, whatever, it did not work out. So there is a constant pain, which is constant in the sense I'm talking about a 24/7 pain. Like even in the night, I can feel it, you know, I can feel the pain. So it's that kind of a pain. So when I'm thinking about, you know, when you say that, you know, if you have pain, please experience it and, you know, acknowledge it. So here it is like it's there constantly in my mind, poking me whenever I'm doing anything. I do keep myself busy. I don't give it too much of importance. Here I think being strong is mentally strong to, you know, keep that aside and go ahead with my life as normal as possible is a big thing. So I was just wondering, because this is a slightly conflicting thing of what you were saying, and for me in my mind there was a conflict in that. So I was just wondering how, if you can explain and help me out in this.
Hema, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Yes, I can.
So have you tried to acknowledge it and accept it? Because what I'm hearing you say is you set it aside. It's as if it is not part of you.
No, I have acknowledged and I've accepted it. And I know that, you know, what are the triggers now. So I know what can trigger the pain. But that I also know that if I stop doing all those activities, like, you know, when walking for my health is a trigger for that. So I have also realized that if I set it aside, in the sense, like if I say that I can't walk because it's going to pain, is not going to help me in the long run, because the pain is going to increase, because the weight increases, the pain increases. So I have to bear the pain and, you know, feel it, understand it, and, you know, yeah. So the first thing comes is I acknowledge the pain and I understand it, like, you know, what are the things that is creating the pain. So it's a constant study that I'm doing with the pain, which I'm working on. But at the same time, it is there, it is always there. Like even when I'm sitting now, I know that after some time I have to flex my legs, otherwise I know when I get up there's going to be a shooting pain. So it has become a constant part of my mind, where it is like, you know, a part of it is completely dedicated only to this pain management. So that is happening. So yes, there is an acknowledgement, there is an understanding, there is an acceptance that this is there. and I don't know whether I'm going to be able to resolve it very effectively. So that, knowing that, I'm going on with whatever my normal course of life is. I do, go on a hike, I go on treks whenever possible. I know it will pain afterwards, but I don't give up on things. So I go ahead. So I was just wondering how this will connect to mindfulness and, without getting stressed about it, how can I take it forward?
Yeah, so you are already doing it. So I'm not seeing any contradiction out here. Could you explain the contradiction?
No, I
out
was
here?
feeling
You
that.
are, if
So
you
I'm on
are
the right track then. I think you're frozen, ma'am.
It and doing what you need to.
Yeah. So I guess
Hello?
Hello. Yeah. Now
I lost you, Hema.
Yeah, your voice broke. No, I do understand. So I think you feel that I'm on the right track. So it is better to go the way I'm going and not give too much of focus on it, but try to manage it and understand it and go ahead.
Yeah. So when you say don't focus on it, your mind is focused on it. So what I'm saying is you're acknowledging it, you're accepting it, you're doing what you want to do. At the same time, what I would say is adding on to it is to sit with it at different times and give it some acceptance. You are trying to understand it in a logical way, ki what is triggering it, how I need to be careful, or how I need to manage the pain. All that is there. That is already there, right? So those strategies are in place. The only thing I would suggest to add to it would be sitting with that pain for say 10 minutes in a day and sending it some love. It's like, I know you're there. I know you're there. I see, you, I acknowledge you, I am accepting you, and I'm choosing to, go with my life with you as part of it.
Okay.
As of now.
Okay. Yeah, I get it. That makes a lot of sense.
Right.
Yes.
So when you are, so sometimes what happens, certain pains come up where, we need to, focus, or it's asking for some attention. It's asking for some, it's like when a child cries, what does that mean?
It needs something.
It means, hey, look at me, or I have a need. Right. So you could just, there are so many exercises out here, Hema. You could just sit with yourself and ask, maybe it is meeting some need of yours unconsciously.
Okay. Yeah, we'll try that.
But we may not know what exactly that need is.
Right. Yeah. Thanks. It makes a lot of sense. I'll try and do that.
You could try to sit with it and say, hey, yeah, thanks, Hema. Thank you.
So can I
We
play
still
the
haven't
video?
shown the video, and it's. Yeah, Rupa, go ahead. I think I've done enough chattering now. I will sit
Which
quietly.
video?
Stress wala.
You put the stress one first and then the mindfulness.
Mindfulness. Okay.
First the stress.
Yes. One second. Kishan, Ramya? One second.
You will need to share the sound also. Us पे भी click करना.
Yeah.
Sound पे भी.
Microphone on. On. We need on. Just 1 second. Yeah. Well, it needs to play now. Where is it? Oh, this one.
Yeah.
Can you hear?
Are you sleeping restlessly?
Yes.
Feeling irritable or moody? Forgetting little things and feeling overwhelmed and isolated? Don't worry. We've all been there. You're
I've
probably
kept
just
the
stressed out.
audio.
Stress isn't always a bad
You need to
thing.
increase
It can
as
be
much as
handy
you
for a
can.
burst of extra energy
Yeah,
and
I kept it
focus,
at the full
like
volume.
when you're playing a competitive sport or have to speak in public. But when it's continuous, the kind most of us face day in and day out, it actually begins to change your brain. Chronic stress,
Volume is not
like
enough.
being overworked or having arguments
Even
at
are
home,
you not able
can
to
affect
hear?
the brain size, its
No.
structure,
No.
and how
Yeah,
it functions,
we
right
can.
down to the level of your genes.
But it is
Stress
low,
begins
I
with something
think.
called the hypothalamus
Yeah.
pituitary adrenal
Yeah, maybe we
axis,
could share the
a
link
series
later.
of interactions
I will.
Yeah.
between endocrine
I'll share the
glands
video.
in the brain
Okay,
and on
okay.
the kidney, which controls your body's reaction to stress. When your brain detects a stressful situation, your HPA
We're not able to hear
axis
actually.
is instantly activated
Oh,
and
okay.
releases a hormone called cortisol, which primes your body for
Okay,
instant action.
it's really nothing new.
But high levels of
I've
cortisol
told you,
over long
but
periods
yeah.
of time wreak havoc on your brain. For example, chronic stress increases the activity level and number of neural connections in the amygdala, your brain's fear center. And as levels of cortisol rise, electric signals in your hippocampus, the part of the brain associated with learning, memories, and stress control, deteriorate. The hippocampus also inhibits the activity of the HPA axis, so when it weakens, so does your ability to control your stress. That's not all, though. Cortisol can literally cause your brain to shrink in size. Too much of it results in the loss of synaptic connections between neurons and the shrinking of your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain that regulates behaviors like concentration, decision-making, judgment, and social interaction. It also leads to fewer new brain cells being made in the hippocampus. This means chronic stress might make it harder for you to learn and remember things, and also set the stage for more serious mental problems like depression and eventually Alzheimer's disease. The effects of stress may filter right down to your brain's DNA. An experiment showed that the amount of nurturing a mother rat provides its newborn baby plays a part in determining how that baby responds to stress later in life. The pups of nurturing moms turned out less sensitive to stress because their brains developed more cortisol receptors, which stick to cortisol and dampen the stress response. The pups of negligent moms had the opposite outcome, and so became more sensitive to stress throughout life. These are considered epigenetic changes, meaning that they affect which genes are expressed without directly changing the genetic code. And these changes can be reversed if the moms are swapped. But there's a surprising result. The epigenetic changes caused by one single mother rat were passed down to many generations of rats after her. In other words, the results of these actions were inheritable. It's not all bad news, though. There are many ways to reverse what cortisol does to your stressed brain. The most powerful weapons are exercise and meditation, which involves breathing deeply and being aware and focused on your surroundings. Both of these activities decrease your stress and increase the size of the hippocampus, thereby improving your memory. So don't feel defeated by the pressures of daily life. Get in control of your stress before it takes control of you.
Rupa, maybe we could leave the other video if people are not able to hear. Maybe we could just share the link later on.
Okay.
That we can do.
Yeah, but when I was when I downloaded and then I played on my iPad, then it played with proper volume.
Yeah, I know.
But I'm
There's
doing screen
always
sharing, maybe the volume went
there's
down.
some. Yeah, it's possible. It's
This is the
possible.
first time I'm
Thank you.
using the iPad. All other times I was having laptop. So today I don't have a laptop. So
yeah, there is a difference when you're using when you're using the other
different,
thing.
yeah,
Yeah,
different
thank you.
gadgets. So
Yeah, is Hema, are you there?
No,
are
Hema
you-
left.
Oh,
Hema left.
okay. I just wanted to add something else to, but that's okay. Yeah. So basically, when we are, stress is more about the way we are interpreting a certain experience, a situation. When we are adding a lot of stories to what is really happening, that is what is causing that cortisol release. For example, now 10th and 12th exams are happening. So children are going through that. So there are a lot of changes. The board has given a certain date and then it gives another date. So children are saying, oh, I'm feeling stressed. I'm feeling stressed. Right? And we are also thinking, oh, children are feeling stressed. But if you really ask, what is it that is causing the stress? Is it because the exam dates are such? Or what is it? No, I might fail. I might never be successful in life. I might not get the college I want. I might be, called a loser. Those are the things that are causing stress, not what is really happening in our life. So if I'm having a pain, that pain is real for me. But what causes stress is, why is it happening to me only? That story that we tell behind that pain is what causes the stress. So the video that we showed, it's a powerful video because it says the way we respond to the world around us, our children are receiving it. So there can be epigenetic changes in the brain. If we are shouting or screaming or responding to a certain situation with aggression, children are receiving it. And it goes on for 7 generations. So they're carrying. So we are also carrying the stress responses of our, forefathers or this thing. And the beauty of it is we can change it. We can learn new ways of dealing with it. It's like when you go on a mountain, there is a laid path out there. You keep walking that path, the path becomes very clear. But then you start climbing the other way, where there are thorns, there are, stones or whatever, and you push all of them and you start climbing. The first few times it will be difficult or challenging. After that, there is a new path formed out there. The old path still remains, but it gets covered with, the other bushes because it is not used. And the new path we start using. So that is how our brain works. It does not unlearn anything. It learns new ways of doing it. And we can teach our brain new things. And when we talk about mindfulness, there is a formal practice of sitting with yourself. What I always suggest is, don't sit with yourself for a long time. Just sit with yourself for 5 minutes to start with, and then increase it. I think here many of you are sitting in practice, so it's nice to hear. But even if you're sitting, for example, Vipassana, we used to sit almost 9 hours a day. And in that, the focus would be only for 10 minutes max, I think. Otherwise, this mind is telling stories. It's watching movies also. Right? So that's why they make us sit for the whole day. Because they say, Usme, you will do itna sa. And that's okay. So I would rather sit for that 5 minutes and just focus or set an intention to focus on something, rather than sit for half an hour and start making a movie of my day itself. That's a different thing. So those are formal practices. There are a lot of informal practices that in mindfulness that we can follow. Yeah, Rupa, you wanted to share something.
So the mindfulness, if I want to practice from, let's say, from today, so I just sit and focus the way we started, the way you asked us to do that exercise. That's how we started, right?
Yeah, you could do that. Or there are so many informal practices also.
Okay. What exactly is mindfulness? How to do that?
So it is basically, it is a practice where you set an intention to pay attention non-judgmentally, kindly on something, and accept whatever comes up. So I may sit with an intention that I'm going to focus on my breath. Okay. I'm paying attention to my breath, but then there are a lot of sensations coming up in my body. So my mind wanders to that, but I'm not judging it. I'm just saying, okay, a lot of sensations are coming up in my body.
But I want to come back to my breath again.
And then I gently bring myself back to my breath. I don't say, stupid girl, you have been meditating for 20 hours and still you don't know how to meditate. This is not your cup of tea. So I don't judge myself that day. I just bring it gently back to my breath. And some days, if I'm able to stay focused on my breath, I don't say, wonderful job. Now, this is how you need to continue every day. So that is also a judgment, right? I say, okay, today I was able to focus on my breath and leave it at that.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I will also was preponed, Kanti, so we could have had it tomorrow.
It was preponed today.
It is preponed. Anyway, I also, I also need to. So the informal practices, I'll quickly get it done. The informal practices include mindful eating, mindful walking. So you can choose one activity that you do every day where you are totally paying attention to what you're doing. It can be as simple as folding the clothes. So you are paying attention to how you're folding it and just staying with it. Or mindful eating, just breakfast, or even they say, no, having your coffee. I am sure most of you love your coffee or love your tea. So how do you sip it and you feel the whole thing? So you experience it fully. That in itself is mindfulness. When you're cooking, mindful cooking. Okay, I am putting salt this much. I am putting, otherwise we are like, acha salt dala, ye kiya, ye kiya. So we are not, paying attention to what we are doing.
Okay, the Malli daddy.
Right? So the whole thing is to any activity that you pick up, you pay attention to it and you do it and you check with yourself how you feel after that. And there are other informal practices like drawing mandalas. Maybe we could have a session on mandalas someday. It would be really nice. So
Yes.
you can draw mandalas. You can
Like Reiki
you
symbols?
can do there is something.
You mean Reiki symbols or what?
No, Reiki in this. Reiki is separate. So this is more, you draw those, the Zen monks, they use different colors to draw mandalas on sand. They use sand and they draw the mandalas. They take almost 7 days to put it out. Okay. And after 7 days, they are grateful for how it has come out and then they remove everything. So there are two purposes in doing that. Just say we make it on sand, no? When we go to the beach, we will put our feet in and make the tunnels and everything. And then the wave comes and removes it. So it is to remind us that nothing is permanent. So we don't get attached to anything. We don't get attached to the work we are doing. We don't get attached to the identity we carry for ourselves. We are not attached to it. We just accept it and we go along with it. So there are mandalas. You can hug a tree. You can sit under a tree and just experience it completely. You can draw. You can, we use with children, we use rice flour. So you have this tea strainer. Take a black paper. Use a tea strainer, put some rice flour in it and just spread it all over the black paper and then put a design on it. So when you are setting an intention, you're drawing, you're not thinking about it should come beautiful. No. You're just drawing a design. And once you draw the design, you look at it and you remove it. So nothing is permanent. We are not getting attached to anything, but we are mindful about what we are doing. So there are a lot of practices. This is just an awareness that it is possible to train our brain to be present, to be in the now, to learn from the past, to plan for the future, at the same time be in the present and not cause more suffering. So Pema says, what is happening is happening. don't put your story to it. Don't add your story to it. It's like what Kanti is doing. I have 5:25 ho raha hai, time ho raha hai. So it is what it is, right? It is 5:20. So the mind goes, okay, she's going on and on and on and on. So
It's not that you're going on, it's just that I don't want to leave this, but
okay, it's 5:20.
there's a lag.
Right. I'm just pulling your leg, Kanti.
I know.
So I'm taking advantage of, you said no, personally we know each other. So I'm taking advantage of that. So the whole thing is, if you're in the present, you can respond to the situation rather than react. It gives you that pause to consciously choose whether you really want to shout, or you can choose an alternative to express yourself. And you may still choose to shout, but you're doing it consciously. No excuses there. Oh, I didn't know what else to do. You provoked me. Illa, I am choosing to shout. I'm choosing to be nasty. I'm choosing to be harsh. So that gives us that space to make different choices. We can definitely work with the stress if we are aware what it is, what the story is, and separate the story from what really is happening. And maybe then we can see some change in us and others. So I'm going to stop here, Kanti, on dot, on time.
Yeah.
And yeah, a quick reflection would help me to know whether it was helpful, or whether it's a thumbs down, whether it's a thumbs up, or whatever it is. So yeah, any short takeaways? Any takeaways?
Big thumbs up. I understood that I should stop before I react. Instead of reacting, I should think and respond. One thing that I learned. That is a really big thing. Even though we have heard it many times, I was not practicing all those times. But now I think I have to start doing that again. Thanks.
Thank you, Rupa. Thank you. Kanti, anything?
Thank you, Shubha. It was very well proclaimed for being conscious, like walk while walking, sing while singing, do what you're doing while doing the same thing. So I think that's more meditative than actually doing the meditation.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Subha, I have been a part of your workshop, so I know how engaging it is. So I want the other people to respond.
Okay.
Thank you, Shubha. It was very, very informative. One big takeaway from me is to really see the impact, or to be able to control your stress. One has to practice it a lot more regularly, even if it's 5 minutes. So I was fortunate to do the CBCT course, and that's one big takeaway from me personally, is that, it has to be consistent. You have to practice it. And I see the change in myself now in terms of my response versus reactions.
Yes.
So thank you. Very informative.
Thank
Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much. And they say you start the practice in peaceful times. So when soldiers are taught mindfulness or the meditation part, they are not taught to do that in the beginning in the war zone. They are taught when they are in the peacetime, so that it gets integrated. So it is all about practice. And when we go off track also, we learn to be kind to ourselves and bring us back to where we want to be. So that being kind to ourselves is the underlying thing for whatever practice we do. Because end of the day, we are all human beings, right? So we need to learn to be kind to ourselves, and then we can be kind to others. Okay. So thank you so much. Thank you for having me here. And thank you so much. I really enjoyed myself. Actually, I'm feeling so relaxed and been very chattery today, but I think that was a conscious choice. So yeah, so thank you so much. So let's
Thank you
just
so
take
much,
a
Subha.
thank
It is,
you.
as usual, an amazing and engaging presentation. I mean, as I said, I've been a part of your workshops, and I can vouch for how wonderful they are. And I think I would leave the floor to the rest of them to give their opinions.
Thank you, Kanti. Thank you for having me here. I really enjoyed myself. Thank you so much. If anyone has any questions or anything that you want to share, or you can sign off, then we do something called a love clap. Have you heard of the love clap? So it goes something like this. So we give love to ourselves and we send that love to everyone around us. So let's do it together if people are willing. Do take care, stay safe. Thank you so much.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
very much. Bye-bye.
Bye,
Thank
bye.
you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Manjunath. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, Rupa.